Yeah, welcome. It's
Thank
good to
you.
see you.
I'm
Welcome
excited
to
to
the
be
Grind
here.
Design.
The grind
Um,
design, I
so,
love it.
yeah, so as you know, we started this to talk to business owners who are putting together, building, taking apart, rebuilding, right? And you're
Demolishing.
laughing because I know you know what I'm talking about. Um, so thanks for coming on because you are someone that we consider to be a great friend, a really smart business owner, someone that we are watching build. You've said some profound things behind the scenes. So we're going to let you introduce yourself. This is Josh Cavalier. Give us your bio, Josh.
I love it. Yeah, so I'm Josh Cavalier. I own Structured Restoration. We're based out of North Salt Lake. Um, my true bio is I'm a husband and a father, and I've got two little girls, and I've got another little one that's going to be here in October. So we're a growing family.
Congrats.
Thank
Oh
you.
man.
Yeah.
Didn't know about the third one coming, Josh. Congrats.
Yeah, we got a lot of we're in a lot of hats these days. So we haven't. I mean, we tell people as we run into it, but in any
And
event,
by that you mean you're not wearing a hat.
yes.
Just saying.
Oh, I love Mike Walters.
Oh, I love you
Um,
too, man.
um, but yeah, I started Structured in February of last year, um, and have worn every hat from technician. I mean, I've pulled water and out of Mandy's house and set up equipment at her house in the middle of the night, and when she was on vacation. And we've grown considerably. We've got an office that we purchased in North Salt Lake at the beginning of the year. And we've got Melissa runs our office. We've got a project manager, Branson, another technician, Austin, um, and John does sales. So we've got a team of about 4 or 5 with some guys that help us out regularly. And we're opening up another location in November in Utah County. So that'll be exciting. But we do disaster cleanup, so water, fire, mold, um, basically all the stuff that you don't want to have to handle yourself. We take care of.
Yeah, man, that's such an awesome description of your journey, but that's literally just been in the last, year and a half.
Yeah,
Um, and I think, when we talk about, who we're in business with and who we partner with and ultimately who listens to this, content, it's people that are looking to build something on their own,
yeah,
right? For the most part. And so I'm just gonna lob this at you because you were for all intents and purposes, you were working for somebody else in another space. Walk
yeah.
us through like this whole thought process of, okay, I'm gonna go build something on my own. Here's what it is, and the steps that sort of led you down that direction until you ultimately, you know, was on your own.
Yeah, that's a great question. Very in-depth one. We probably don't have enough time for that one, but I guess probably the gist of it. Yeah, I mean, I was in a really good spot where I was before. Multiple things led to it. One of which was just I had this inner calling, I guess you could say, if I wanted to do. I wanted to prove myself that I could do something for myself as well. I didn't have to rely necessarily on anybody else. In our household, we're big proponents of self-reliance, and I don't know that there's any other better definition of self-reliance than entrepreneurship. And you know, hitting the ground running, and if you get to eat if you make it work, and if you don't make it work, you don't get to eat. And then and from that, I love the principle of you can't give from empty shelves. So, giving back and taking care of providing opportunities for other people is something that I felt called to do. Um, and why the restoration space? I felt like there's a real need for a company that actually cares. Um, there's a lot of good in restoration, but there's not. There's a lot of bad as well. So um, I felt like restoration was a place that I could live out my core values of, in my family, if you need something at 2 a.m., I'm a pretty good person to call because I'll get up at 2 a.m. and go take care of whatever it is that you need. But the baby steps that led to it, there's a lot of inner reflection. I I I just felt that I needed to do something for myself, and learn, because there's a lot of complexities to owning a business that you don't. Doesn't matter what position you are in a company, unless you are the one that writes all the checks and ultimately the problem lies with you. You don't get the ultimate feel of it, right? It didn't matter how involved I was in my previous position. I still didn't have the day-to-day weight of it. And so I found a good mentor in the restoration space, and we yeah, I found a mentor. So that's one kind of, if we're talking to people who are looking to get into their own thing, is a mentor is super important. Unless you've been in the business probably for a really long time and feel like you've got a good handle on it to do it on your own. I think a mentor is super important for somebody who's looking to start a business. So I got a mentor, and then all the day-to-day things. You get a bank account set up.
How did you find that person, Josh?
The true story, I think it's probably, I don't know, divine intervention. I'll say it. The reality is, I was doing inside sales at a trucking company and moved to Georgia. And when we moved back from Georgia, I lived near a guy who had a very large restoration company in Arizona years and years ago, and we became close friends. I helped teach his son how to kick football through high school. We mutually served each other, if you will. We did a self-reliance class together. Long story short, he connected me with my where I previously worked, and helped grow that business. But I found him through a personal relationship first, and then
I love that.
When I decided that restoration is kind of the route I wanted to go, he was the first person to call for sure.
Because I think that's a hard thing for a lot of people. The thing that I have keep running into is people are like, well, I don't have that person. I don't have somebody. And I think there's an assumption that somebody who's doing it won't teach it, right?
Yeah.
Because there's competition. And I actually think the very highest level leaders around us are happy to give the information, happy to mentor. They come from a place where there's plenty,
Oh yeah.
right? They don't consider everybody to be competition. So I love that.
Well, and I was just going to say that, I mean, I got into the space because of a mentor that, like Josh said, it literally was divine intervention.
Yeah.
I know so many examples of that because now I know what to see. But for those out there, um, there are people around you that know, like, and trust you already.
Yeah.
How do you become interested in them? Because, Josh, you said it, like he was a neighbor over the course of time. There was some mutual giving. You weren't, I knowing you, how I know you, you weren't looking for anything in return. You were giving because it was fulfilling. I've got to imagine. And when we do
sure.
enough of that,
Yeah.
the good stuff comes back.
Yeah. Absolutely. When we build community,
Yeah.
you
And I
run
think,
across people.
a lot of people get afraid of asking a question or asking the question. You never know if somebody's willing to help you out until you ask for help. And I think, if somebody's bound to be an entrepreneur, there's probably a prideful side of every entrepreneur that doesn't want to ask for help, and they want to just, I'm going to bootstrap it and do it myself. And and a lot of times you just have to ask, can I get some help? And maybe it's not a mentor that's in the weeds too much, but it's just guidance. Maybe it's overall business guidance. I think somebody that knows business can probably apply most of the principles to any industry. It's just adapting to what's needed in each spot. So
Yeah. I love that. Okay. So you start up, your mentor's kind of helping you with a blueprint.
yeah.
But that's a lot of growth, because I know when you opened your doors, it was you. You really were the guy at 2 a.m. going out to do
Look
that
at his
call.
hands. Do you see his hands are all like, he's been out there in the field. I love it.
Yeah. I know it was you,
Yeah.
100%. How did you grow? And was that organic? How did you find your people? How did you know you were ready to add people? Right?
Yeah.
How did you traverse that?
Um, Still trying to figure it out. We probably should have hired another month or two ago, but basically throughout my life I've kind of been forced into growth in some ways, where I it's like, oh well, we need to grow. But as far as, yeah, I was doing the work, and we just got to a spot where we needed an office manager. We kind of did it in buckets of, well, what tasks need to be pulled off of my plate in order to make life reasonable again. And we actually tried the technician route, having somebody do the work, and we found that partially the right hire helps, but we found that getting an office manager was going to be the most, even taking 20 hours of responsibility of answering some phone calls,
Yeah.
and sending emails and scheduling plumbers and different things that we needed to have happen. I'm kind of an energizer bunny, so taking away the doing of the work wasn't necessarily the hardest part, because I'll just keep going forever. Um, and then we got to a spot where I felt comfortable with consistent work coming in, where we could hire a technician, and then we've kind of just continued to grow from there. But the reality is there's a lot of faith, and we're going to keep getting work to come in, and that we just need to make the hire, because the reality is there comes a point where you're, gosh, and the terms not coming to my brain. Your the opportunity cost, of doing, if I'm out sucking up water at midnight or whatever, well, and I was doing sales from 9 in the morning till noon, and then I'd go do demo and sell a new job till 9 o'clock at night, and then we'd do it again the next day, sales in the morning. And so we kept leads coming in because I was doing sales activities in the morning, but there were a lot of long days. But there comes a point where your opportunity cost just isn't worth it, right? It's better to offload tasks and responsibilities to somebody else, give them the opportunity to own it, and allows you to raise your dollar value of your time, basically, on the things that are most important. And in my case, I'm a sales oriented owner, I would say, where my cup of tea is sales and relationships and marketing. There's other owners that are more operators, right? And they're operations minded, and you just need to offload generating leads to salesperson. So it's
Yeah.
kind of how I looked at
I
it.
also suspect, knowing you, at some point you wanted to go home and see your family because you do all of this, right?
Yes. Yeah.
To create a life for your family, your darling wife, the cutest daughters on the planet. Like, at
They are the
some point you
best.
have to go home. You can't work around the clock.
Yeah. And I think one thing that was really good for me too, I don't remember what point last year, I always told my wife, like, again, I didn't have to go do this, like, financially, lifestyle wise. Like, most people would probably say I was pretty dumb for doing it. Um, but
That's all
so
of
I
us.
never, I never, I never woke up saying this is for my kids, because I think that's not right to put it like I'm doing it for them, because it was for me. I wanted to prove to myself that I could do this, that I'm self-reliant, and in some ways, I wanted to teach lessons to my children. But if I want to build an empire so I can provide for my kids, like, I was already doing that. I didn't need
Yeah.
to do that, if that
Interesting.
makes sense. So I think coming to know that, and then realizing, well, this is actually really affecting my family, I probably also need to hire some people so I can do this for my family, which is giving up part of the business, handing it over to somebody else so then I can be there for my family.
I thought what you just said that'll probably get replayed many times on this, because the fact that you said, hey, it's very cliche-ish to say I'm doing it for X, Y, or Z. Very few people have said
Yeah.
that I'm doing it for me, and the byproduct will be, that, right? But so I think
Yeah.
there's a lot of credit
Yeah.
said, knowing and looking in the mirror and saying, hey, I'm doing this for me to prove whatever to me, not to anybody else.
My kids don't
Yeah.
care. I mean, my kids loved it. They would pray for us to get floods in the first year so the business could grow. And quite frankly, now my kids are like, oh, you got another flood, that stinks. Like the tables have flipped and turned, right? And so that's where it started to, I came to the realization that it's not for me.
That isn't in service.
My kids don't care if I do sales, if I, whatever honorable work there is out there in the world, they don't care what I do. They want me home at 5 o'clock to play in the sprinklers. And as long as we have a place to live and food on the table, like, kid doesn't care. So to say that it's for them, I think is, yeah, it's a bit off for me. So
I love that.
besides the lessons that you can teach them, though. So there's a lot of,
but I love that.
yeah. So
I want to go back because you talked about the hiring, and you started as a technician and then realized that the most important hire that would free up the space for you was, in your case, the office manager.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, have you found that person in that role, whether they're, I'll just ask it plainly, they've probably, if they're not doing it yet, they probably will get to a point where they're doing it better than you ever could have.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And I think as entrepreneurs, that's really hard for us to let go of that control, knowing that there's probably somebody out there that can do it better than us.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you have to be honest with yourself if that's actually what you want. Like, you really, I mean, I don't know if you ever read The E-Myth. It's an awesome book. I'd recommend it to any entrepreneur. But I mean, our personalities, we always want to fill the bucket of technician, of manager, of entrepreneur. But if you're really going to be the visionary of your company, like, you've got to live more in the entrepreneur world, and allow others to, whether they're there yet or not, grow into the role and yeah, perform the work better than you can. Because the reality is I'm sucking up water or cutting out drywall, my brain's on, I got to be out marketing, I got to be doing all these things, I got to pay the bills, I got to be home with my family. And so you also you tend to have worse performance in those roles as you if you hang on to it
or
too long.
Somebody else can do it faster, more efficiently. I don't know if you've noticed that. Like, yes, I can do everything. I could. I have lots of people on my team that do it way better than I do, and they're faster at it.
Yeah. And people, I mean, they want to be an office manager, they want to be in collections, they want to be in the field doing the work. Like, it's all the whole purpose is to provide opportunity for people to do what it is that they want within your little world and your game, if you will, of entrepreneurship. So
yeah, it's interesting because what you just said is what Gary Keller has said for years, and that is, as owners, as leaders, our job is to create a vision big enough that it encapsulates every vision of the people that we're in business and in relationship with.
Yeah,
that's what you're doing.
Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And it's easier said than done, that's for sure. I think the vision, everybody can have a vision, right? But I mean, did I envision us to be where we're at this quickly? I don't know that I ever did. And expansion, we always planned on that, but did we think we'd do it quickly or not? I think the vision is something that has to continually be developed and looked at.
Absolutely.
And otherwise you lose your vision because all of a sudden you're at your peak where you thought you were going to be. For me, I'm always like, okay, what's the next little mountain peak that we can reach to and look at, that we're trying to uncover a new view that we didn't know was there before.
That's so good.
Yeah. Do you have any, because you're growing fast, you're adding people.
Yeah.
How do you keep track of what lights up your people and what their internal need or perfect world is? Like, how do you manage that?
Yeah. I don't have, that's currently what I'm learning.
Okay.
There's that other element of it. You switch from you doing the work to, now I got to be a leader of the work and the people that are doing the work and what lights their fire up. And it's not a skill set that I necessarily say I'd have a perfect development on yet. So I'm actively working on that. One thing that we do are one-on-ones and weekly check-ins. Both that's job related, but also like, where are we at? What action items are we taking? So one system that we use is we'll have a parking lot of things that we want to talk about, ideas. Like we have a project manager that wants to get some more certifications, and so it's in the parking lot, but we've put it on an action item. So we both agree that we're going to move the needle forward together. Who owns it? When is it going to get done? And we don't put anything in the action items that we're not going to actually do, if that makes sense. And so we check in on those things
Yeah.
on a weekly basis, and that helps to at least get a pulse of where we're at and what we're growing into. But I would love love your guys' insights on that, because
Well,
that's one thing I'm learning still.
can I ask a clarifying question?
Yeah,
So parking lot, by definition, it's like the dumping ground of everything that comes to mind. And then
yeah,
if it gets plucked out, it's real.
yeah. It gets put into the actual action items, and once it's
Yeah.
completed, then it gets moved off and into
Do
completed
things
action items.
sometimes just stay there, Josh? Are
In
there
the
things
parking lot.
that get dumped and eventually you're like, yeah, we don't care that much about that?
Yeah, that's kind of the whole purpose. Is like everything is like it needs to be done. It needs to be done today, and then you put it on the parking lot, and a month or two later, you're like, yeah, we actually have already passed that idea and need something even better than what that idea was 2 months ago. And I think we get bogged down a lot of times with tons of ideas, especially in the infancy stage of a business, is like
Yeah.
everything's a great idea and needs to be done today. And actually, it's like, no, we need a standard SOP on what we do day one when we show up to a flood. We don't need some grand
Yeah.
marketing idea or operations idea. We need to get to the basics.
Yeah. Interesting. I don't know. That's always one of the ones I'm trying to figure out too, right?
Yeah.
Especially because once you have other sales personalities within your team, everybody's got ideas about their vision for the thing. Like you said, the being able to encapsulate everyone's vision is a big
Yeah.
job.
This whole discussion just reminded me of the book Traction that you and I have
Yeah.
read. And it's right off of that, right? Like you got a laundry list of stuff, but it's just stuff until it becomes and works and it has earned its right to be on that action list,
Yeah.
right?
For
And
sure.
I think a lot of times, as entrepreneurs, I mean, you're far ahead of in terms of the time you've been doing this and building your business, Josh, than a lot of others, because most of us, we have these grandiose ideas and they change, and we don't have the discipline to slow down and realize that maybe fewer items is actually better. And you go and you execute those to the very best of our abilities to see, okay, did we get traction or did we not?
Yeah.
Instead, we try to take that shotgun approach
Yeah.
to solving the problems. And you know what? The shotgun approach seldom works.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it helps mitigate as well. As you add on personalities, like you said, Mandy, of everybody wants part of their vision in the pie, which is important. But when you move it to okay, who's going to own this task, this parking lot item? That's a great idea. When people start finding out that they have to own the action around that,
Yeah.
it becomes far less important than, hey, I want to give this on your plate. That's super easy, right? It's just like, I think of growing up as a kid, like I was like, Mom, I want to do this, Mom, I want to do that, and throw everything at my mom and make her do it. And bless my mom, Mandy, she's like the best,
Yeah.
one of the best human beings
Sweetest
ever.
humans. Yeah.
Yeah, and she would, right? But that's not really feasible in kind of this setting, right? And so when the action, who has to take action on an idea shifts often to the person that came up with the idea, then you kind of can see what's actually important to them and what's not.
Yeah. Absolutely. I do that with my children. Are you kidding?
Yeah,
They're like, it'd be really great. And it's like, fantastic. Make the following steps happen and we'll revisit it. Right. So
yeah,
it's amazing how many things die in that moment.
We call that
for
the
sure.
dirty boomerang.
What's that?
We call that the dirty boomerang
Yeah.
because they throw it and it comes right back to them. And they realize, man,
Yeah.
this is pretty dirty. I don't want anything to do with it.
Totally.
But it's funny to watch as they take on the action, and employees take on the action of, okay, I'm going to own this and do it. Then there's also a new sense of gratification beyond any
Yeah.
kind of compensation and things like that. I think a lot of people that join a small company want that feeling of like, oh yeah, that process that we use right now, I implemented that, or I came up with
Yeah.
the idea and then somebody else implemented it. But I think there's value in that for people that are working to help create your vision is when something actually is important to them and they take action on it, there's a lot of gratification from it.
Yeah. I love that. Josh, you and I had a conversation one day, and this is the first place I heard this, and I've heard it a couple places since, but in my brain, it will always be tied to you.
Oh boy.
And I'm not going to get it right, but I'm going to trust that I'm going to remind you of this, and you're going to say it again.
Okay.
You and I had a conversation where you were basically alluding to the fact that our business can never grow beyond our personal growth. Do you remember that
Yes,
conversation?
I do remember that.
What were you telling me?
You nailed it. Actually, that was verbatim, so that was great. I can't remember what stage we were in. I mean, it's been probably 8 months or so since you and I had that
Yeah.
conversation, or almost a
Yeah.
year, I
We were
guess. But
sitting in my office, I don't know, just catching up, right?
yeah,
And you
but
said that, and it was so profound because you were at the time you were talking about what you were working on from a personal growth standpoint.
oh yeah.
And
Yeah, I can't remember if it was a book that I read or I don't know. I heard it somewhere. It wasn't That's not my
yeah,
idea. I'll not take credit for it, although it is profound and sounds great. Somebody else said it before me. But yeah, like you can't for me, I've found that you can't grow past your own personal growth, right? So if I want my company to and it was actually my mentor that kind of alluded to, some people can run a $1 million company, some people can run, but that same person can't run a $3 million company, and that $3 million company can't be ran by, can't run a 10 million, right? And
yeah,
businesses stop because the processes don't allow them to grow to the next stage, and I think business owners as well, their progress or their business's progress often is stopped because they don't allow themselves to grow. And a lot of times that growth is also a release of responsibility, like being humble enough to know I can't do this by myself. And so I don't know that there's anything more profound to say on that other than, yeah, I mean, your personal growth will hinder your company's growth.
yeah. And I think that's what you were saying. Is you were at the time, I think you were saying, in order for me to do that, I have to become the person that can do that, right?
Yeah.
That I personally have to step up in order for me to be able to take that next move.
Yeah, because if I want, I mean, I'm seeing it as we were looking to expand and things like that, and like taking steps for another location and things like that. Like, if I've never done some of the things that are required to do that, right? But if I don't take those steps, then who's going to do it? My mentors, when he built his business, that was kind of his mantras. If it's basically up to him, right? If the only person that's going to keep something from happening was him, or who's going to make it happen is going to be him. So yeah.
Yeah. I say this in the office all the time. This is kind of a common statement, and it also didn't start with me. Jimmy Ferris, I totally credit with this because he will say, "I'm the problem and I'm the solution,"
Yeah.
and I say that in our office all the time, not because I am the fix to everything, but also I have to progress in order to hit the point where I'm like, okay, who is the fix to that, or what is the fix to that,
Yeah.
or how do we accommodate that, right? Like at the end of the day, it all lands with me. So I
Right.
think you're right.
Good.
It's a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah.
I actually love it. Better that than to be subject to somebody else being the right, waiting for someone else to be the fix.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I
It's just a
mean,
constant. I think it's for me, a hard pill to swallow because it's like, okay, I just, for lack of better terms, leveled up, right? I just moved to the next crap. Now I have more things that I have to change about myself. And oh, I thought I wanted to have a 1 million or a $2 million company, and now I like the goal mark has changed, and now I've got to develop into somebody else. But for me, that was half the reason why I wanted to get in and do this, anyways, is because I don't ever want to get to a spot where it's like, yeah, I'm good. I don't have to change. I don't have to evolve. I don't
Yeah,
have to develop anymore. That's kind of what entrepreneurship
it's
allows us.
half the fun.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, being complacent or being comfortable. That's the word. Being comfortable is, um, it doesn't equate to growth ever,
Right.
ever. So,
Sure.
So we could just keep being uncomfortable.
yeah.
How did we end up in this having a second location? Are you just
Yeah, so I mean, I've got I mean, with my mentor, we've got people that have kind of already always voiced that they wanted to kind of do a restoration company and expand, and so we've got a guy that has recently come on as a technician, is learning the ropes, and is going to take it on down south, and that's kind of all been in the vision from the beginning. Was you know, I want to build a company that can be replicated, but replicated in a smaller version, right? It's you can get really really big, but it's hard to manage sometimes a $5-10 million company, but it's easier to manage 1 to 2 million, five of the $1 to 2 million companies, if you will. So it's
yeah,
always been in the vision. It's just, you know, the right people come in at the right time with the right energy, and you just roll with punches and you figure it out.
divine intervention again?
I mean, that's the yeah, that's the theme. I
Yeah.
think is allowing the divine intervention to work its magic, whatever that divine intervention means to you. So for our
Yeah.
PC people,
I love that.
No, I'm good.
So questions for you, because I know that you actually do spend a lot of energy in growing and becoming that next level of yourself. What are you reading right now that's impactful, or what is the most impactful book you've ever read?
so my mentor gave me a challenge last year, which is kind of stemmed into this year, because there was a time where there was probably a year, and I think I shared a bunch of books with you, Mandy, and just insights that I was getting kind of in this change before I started the business. But I read a lot of books, but a lot of books say the same thing. And so it's always, oh, yeah, I'm going to read this next cool book. And we never actually implement anything. And so my mentor challenged me to pick just a couple of books and actually implement them. And one of the books last year, he gave me the challenge to read the E-Myth 6 times before the end of the year. And so as I'm ripping out drywall, I just sit there and listen to the E-Myth. And as I'm like not doing what the book says to do, which is part of growth and whatnot. But but as far as impactful books, Think and Grow Rich is one of the most impactful ones, by Napoleon Hill. Rich Dad Poor Dad is a really good one.
Yeah.
The Untethered Soul. If you talk spirituality wise,
Yeah.
that book changed me, if you will. I really really love that book. So Think and Grow Rich, Rich Dad Poor Dad, The Untethered Soul, and then the E-Myth Business Wise is probably the best one.
Okay. I love that. Those are all very good.
I got a long list, but if I had to boil it down to those, probably those ones.
We all do, right? Like
Yeah.
if you walk through our shelves, it's like, but
So we always end the show with, these softball questions in the books. I mean, we'll have links to them in the show notes and all
yeah.
that. What we won't have a link for is this next question, and I'm going to tie it up here because you've been out on your own for, coming up on 2 years.
Yeah.
If you look back, has there been one experience or example that's, either made the biggest impact in how you've grown or in decisions that you've made or the leader that you've become?
Ooh. Um, yeah, so I mean, you guys know I'm a faith-based person, right? We talked a little bit about divine intervention and things like that. The reality for me and my growth and my business and my life in general, there was an experience where um, at the beginning I was selling and doing the work. So we were kind of like this, right? Where we'd have a good month and then a bad month. But at the bad month, I mean, I only had to pay for myself. So it wasn't that big of a deal. But we were kind of up and down. And there was a time where like I had no work for a couple of weeks and it was rough. And my daughter, Mel, if you know Mel, she's the sweetest little human in the world. before I went to work, I was kind of downtrodden. I was like, oh man, like maybe I can't do this. Maybe it's not going to work out. And before I went to work, we got together for a little family prayer, and good old Mel, with the faith that she has, she says, please bless Daddy that he can get a big, big flood today. And by noon, we had 3 floods, and one of them was an entire basement. And so if you ask about one moment for me, I realized that I needed to believe in myself and believe in that I'm actually here to make a difference, and that the business is supposed to work, and that there's going to be hard things, there's going to be problems, but that I can figure it out, and I rely on faith, whatever that faith is, right? I think you just have to have faith in yourself, if nothing else, to make it grow. So that moment was kind of a game changer for me of like, no, we'll figure this out. I just got to believe a little bit more.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I want second dibs on hiring Mel when she's of hiring age, because that girl's great.
We've got a little packet that we give all of our customers to kind of walk them through an insurance claim and everything. And Mel's packet is her reading literature at night. It's on her bunk bed. So you're going to have a tough time getting her away from the restoration world. She's in it.
I believe that. She's just she's super sweet, and she's a firecracker all at the same time, which is
Oh, yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Most importantly, Josh, because you are my phone a friend for sure.
Yeah.
Like, you are my go-to. Where do people find you? Where do people find you for service? Where do they find you for leadership?
Great question. So as far as service, we have our website is structuredresto.com. Our phone number is 801-608-9505. Give us a call. We have an after-hours service line as well. As far as leadership, you can follow me on Facebook, I guess. I'm not super creative on the whole social media handles and things like that. I'd say I'm probably a very just authentic person when it comes to social media and what I put on there. But I'm on Facebook. We've got a social media page for Structured Restoration as well. So follow us there.
Yeah.
Or get my number
DM
from Mandi
him.
or Mike and give me a call.
Yeah.
Amen. Well, here's what I mean, having known you for as long as I've known you, you've always been somebody in your different roles that is a giver first, giver of your time, giver of your energy, your thoughts. So I'm not surprised one bit that
No.
your business has gone the way it has in 2 years. And I just want to honor you because you're easy to like, but behind the scenes, when I see what you do and see how you treat people, like, again, I'm not shocked. You're going to kill it, man.
No, I'm so happy to hear that you're thriving, but not surprised 1 ounce.
Appreciate it.
So,
all right. Well, hey, we appreciate you taking time out. It was fun to catch up. Go out there, continue doing what you're doing, Max. You're making a big difference.
Okay. You guys are awesome.
See you guys.